Happy Monday, Big Orange Nation. This is Frank Rock. Got me, got Kerry Williams in the house again tonight. What's going on, man?
Nothing much. Best Monday ever. It's game week officially.
Best Monday of the season. It is finally game week. Tennessee, Chattanooga, Saturday, 12:45. I'm going to fire you up here real quick. You didn't even know this was coming. How'd the ticket thing go for you this week?
Man, at the end of the day, I got a ticket, but the student ticketing process has completely blown up. They changed everything, and it is a total nightmare. I've been in talks all day, emailing back and forth with Big Orange Texas, who we do the student tickets through, and it has just been brutal. There's been no answers about the points. I currently have 5, and I should really have upwards of 10 plus. It's a whole story. I don't want to dive too deep into it. Let's just say I'm pretty upset. Actually, the way that I did get a ticket is a extremely, extremely nice gentleman on Twitter reached out to me, and he purchased a ticket for me. It's just random act of kindness. I did
Oh,
everything I
wow.
could to try to prevent him to purchase it, but he insisted and he bought it. He sent it to me. I'm so grateful that man and his wife. That was a tremendous help. So I will be at the game this Saturday, thankfully.
Oh, how cool. That's Vol fans taking care of Vol fans.
Yep.
Right there. Now, as far as the point system goes, is it the more points you get more priority? Is that kind of how it goes?
It's a lottery. The ticket system is a lottery. So the people with the most points, they typically get a seat. For some reason, I have 5. My girlfriend has 10. We have attended the exact same games. They gave her a point for Austin P. I didn't get that point. I sent proof to them today that I was at the Austin P game. They said they can't change the points or anything. They also have awarded her points for the basketball game. But they're saying to me and to everyone else, well, not everyone else, but that they cut it off on December the 31st, 2023. That points didn't count after then, yet they did for her, they did for my best friend and a whole lot of other people, but to me, they don't count. So there's a lot of answers that need to be answered.
So you said you have a girlfriend, is that right?
Yeah, somehow.
I never knew I would wait 10 years to say this, but she's out of your league. So
Yep.
Let's see what we got rolling in here. We got David Burgess. He was in here bright and early, 6:48. Hello, House Orange family. It is football time in Tennessee. Absolutely, David Burgess. You are spot on with that, brother. Wes McLaughlin says, "Go Vols." Let's see if I can do this one justice. Big Orange says, "It is football time in Tennessee, y'all." So, yes, it is. It is that week. We've waited for it. I feel like ever since the national championship for baseball, it's like we've just been waiting. It's been that time because you're all year long, some sport is going. And then it's just kind of been I don't know, it's not felt right for a couple of months without something. I mean, it's kind of making content, making talk, just trying to get to this point. But yeah, it is game week. The depth chart was released today, and any of you seen? I really kind of want to wait. We don't have many in here, but I know they're starting to trickle in a little bit at a time. The biggest thing before you get into this, thumbs up to like it. Biggest way you can help out to share out the content, share it out, get it out there. We posted it on different things. As of last I checked, I got to double check here just to see, make sure my math is accurate on here. The House of Orange is currently at 1,896 subscribers. So we're 4 away from 1,900. If you like the content, you have not subscribed, make sure you hit that subscribe button. And if you're good at math, you're good at rounding, we're 104 away from 2,000. That'd be pretty cool. That's well ahead of where I anticipated at this time of the year. I was like 100 a month. I was going to be happy. And this thing, it's blown it out of the water. Just, I'll give my wife a shout out this weekend. I turned game day. I watched Manchester United crap the bed on Saturday. And then it's like, all right, I'll turn game day on here. And I normally don't watch it that much, but it being the first day, I figured, what the heck. And right when I was turning it on, they said, well, this will provide us a little bit of a segue. I did a video on it and it got a big response. But the game day crew picked their playoff. Did you see that?
I saw the video that you posted. Yeah, I watched it.
So all of the panelists, none of them picked Tennessee. Did not even pick Tennessee as one of the first two out, and some of them was enjoying Ireland a little too much that night before with some of their. I mean, McAfee, and I like McAfee, but he had Virginia Tech as one of the top four. I mean, did Virginia Tech even play in a bowl game last year? Or if they
Yeah,
did,
they did actually.
but
They'll actually be really good this year.
oh really?
Yeah,
So
there you are.
not
Looking
seen
really nice.
preseason.
What is it?
Are they ranked preseason?
I don't think they are. Maybe in the 20 to 25 range. All I know is I played a year with them in college football 25 as a dynasty, and I absolutely dominated. So I'm a big Virginia Tech fan this season.
Let's see what they've got for it. I'm kind of curious on there. But McAfee had Virginia Tech. I thought was interesting. They're in for the AP. They're in the others receiving votes actually. So that I guess that program's kind of coming up a little bit as well. But there was just some interesting. A lot of people's high on Missouri. I mean, I'm still kind of like, I think Missouri's got to show it. I think Missouri's got to show it again, and maybe they are. I know they returned some good players. Of course, Georgia, everybody's on Texas. Alabama's going to be interesting. Do they maintain, or what happens with them? I know. I don't know. I mean, Tennessee is basically, there's a lot of questions to the media. To us, we're high on them. To the media, there's questions. I mean, Nico is theoretically, he is unproven. I mean, he played pretty good in the bowl game. Lots of room for improvement on there as well. I mean, people's on Ole Miss. Well, yeah, this is a good one here. Wes McLaughlin said Missouri's schedule is weak. So, yeah, that could play into their hands there. I know Ole Miss, I think, well, they get Alabama, and I think they've got Georgia at home. But other than that, the way they were talking, that I think they've got a lesser schedule. Possibly. I know Saban mentioned how Ole Miss, both lines of scrimmage were good for them as well. But I mean, the biggest thing is Tennessee's going to have to prove it. They've got games against North Carolina State to prove it. You're going to get Kent State and then Oklahoma. You take care of business in those two games, North Carolina State and Oklahoma, barring, we're expecting they do it with Chattanooga and Kent State. You're going to gain some supporters at that point. Let's see here. We got the Outlaws hype man, Bob Franklin, for $5. Thank you very much, Bob, for your generosity. Good evening, men. It is time. Go Big Orange. Thank you so much, Bob. Appreciate you being in here. Appreciate you being a supporter of the channel, and appreciate the generosity as well. And just want to hit, this one could not be. Zachary says this week needs to go by faster. That is a fact. That is a fact. Big Orange says, I work outside for a living and the weather ain't looking friendly this week. Is it pretty hot up there?
Oh yeah, it's 90 degrees, and that's unfortunately the forecast for this upcoming Saturday is about.
Yeah, we got a little bit of false fall here earlier in the week, and now it's kind of trying to heat back up a little bit. There we go. It says school started today. I'm already dreading the workload, and watching football is my escape. So good luck to you, Zach, with school this year. And of course, Mr. Williams here. I guess you're on what, week number 2?
Yep, week number 2, grad school.
Yeah. Joe Bird says just win, and he says I don't want to be ranked. I don't want to be ranked. To me, that 15th rank, it's all playing the way we want it to me, because Tennessee historically, when they're top 5 or something, they don't live up to it. What was baseball preseason this year? They were around 10, right?
They were around 10. Yeah, and the year before that,
I think it kind of ranged. Yeah. I mean, it kind of ranged from around 8th, 9th up to 13th or something.
Yeah.
That was perfect. Somebody might be calling you out here. Big Orange says, you got CFB 25 carrying?
Not really. I don't play online or anything. I just play Road to Glory and then just random games.
I have not played. I got rid of all my systems a long time ago. I don't have time for it anymore, but the online stuff the online dynasty when you did it with people was pretty fun. We had a lot of fun with that one. If you played random people, it could be fun, but a lot of cheaters on there. Let's see. Yeah, we talked about this one. Tennessee's biggest game versus Oklahoma. Definitely early in the season, for sure. But I think that North Carolina State game is going to be big. But I still think when I was looking at North Carolina State, they've got transfers. That to me, that's your second game in. Are they meshed at that point? They've got a good receiver. Concepcion, I think's his name. They've got McCall from Coastal. But here's the thing. McCall has not played SEC competition at Coastal. Their offensive line is supposed to be good. But here's the thing. There's a couple places where it's possibly guys getting broke in. They do have All-American. Is it Bennett? I think's his name. Here's what I like, though. He's a left tackle. Well, he's not going against the left end. That might be a problem for North Carolina State because I was interested in that matchup. I think that's where Tennessee can expose them there as well. But, that'll be a tough game. Of course, Kent State, I think they should take care of it. Oklahoma, I mean, like I said, those are going to be the ones. Tony says 9-3, possible 10-2. We both said 11-1, didn't we?
Yeah.
We both picked that Oklahoma game, and that's going to be the one. It'll be tough. There's no doubt about it. All right, so let's get into the depth chart today. We both laughed on text message about the depth chart. Let me pull it up and share the screen here. If you have seen the depth chart, you'll know what, or I'm calling it the OR chart.
The OR chart.
We speculated with some ORs last week, but how many did you say you counted?
35.
35 ORs. I think I nailed the tight end one. I said OR and OR on that.
Yeah, you did nail that one.
I hit it a little bit on. I did it with one running back. I didn't expect all five of them to be ORs. We hit the left guard one. I think we both said OR on that one.
Yeah.
And I said Harrison Rabu. I think you may have said the same thing on that one as well. Let's see. Here we go. All right. So here's the depth chart for Tennessee. So you've got tight end, Ethan Davis, Holden Stays, or Miles Kitzelman. And I wonder, it's kind of interesting how they're listed. That tells me Ethan Davis is going to start because it's not alphabetical order.
No.
I guess it is by first name, but not last name. This one was interesting to me. Lance Hurd or Larry Johnson.
Yeah, that one was really surprising.
I did not see that one coming. I think we said this one, Carrick or Jackson Lampley. Cooper Mays. Okay, we didn't need to do that. It's just, here we go. Cooper Mays is not in the OR category. He's got that one all locked down by himself. He's one of not many on it. His backups, pretty interesting. Satterwhite or Vyson Lang. So I think hopefully we'll see both of those guys this weekend. Who do they go to if it's a tight game and Cooper Mays has to come out?
I think they're both pretty much freshmen. Vyson Lang, just now seeing that he's 340 pounds, that's a little bit of a concern from the center spot. So maybe William Satterwhite.
I wonder if they don't go Dane Davis if they had to have somebody in crunch time. Because 340. Hopefully it's good weight, but that's kind of surprising a little bit. You mentioned on that left tackle, 690 pounds. Lance Hurd 340, Larry Johnson 350. I'll be honest, there's a little bit of me. I'm hoping they're mobile. I'm hoping they are agile because that's two pretty big guys.
Yeah, that's
to play tackle. I think it'll be Hurd.
I think it has to be. You don't bring him in just to bench him first game of the season.
No, I'm really surprised by that one. Of course, Spraggins is not an OR. He's got that one locked down. They do have Sham as the backup for him. John Campbell Jr. or Dane Davis. I think it's John Campbell Jr. Yeah. I really think Dane Davis is your backup to almost every position. Honestly, anything stand out to you about the line?
I was a little bit surprised that Carrick's kind of in the lead for the left tackles or left guard spot, and you don't see Lampley or Sham in that spot.
Yeah, that's I just wonder how much they'll kind of rotate on that one also. That could be interesting to watch. I kind of expected it to be Lampley as well, but I don't know. Maybe Lampley. Nobody's beat him out for the designated walk off the field guy on the extra points yet. So still got to have that guy around, or there's got to be a red shirt or a walk on somewhere that can take over that job. I would think. This one's kind of interesting. Brew McCoy or Caleb Webb. What do you
That
think
one's
the
a shock.
reasoning is on that one?
I'm not sure. I would assume, considering they switch out wide receivers so much. I mean, you didn't even see Jalen Hyatt in there every play. So I think that's
Yeah.
just the way they are out there. They just rotate a lot. So I think that's why you see the three oars in each of the three wide receiver spots.
Yeah, no, they've not. They normally stick to a smaller rotation, but based on what we're seeing here, it looks like you could possibly see six guys
Yeah,
with
I
Brewer,
think you
Caleb
will.
Webb, Squirrel, or Nimrod. I'm not surprised by that one. I think we said what I think I said Squirrel, then Nimrod, but I'm not surprised based on what we've heard on that. I thought they said Nimrod was 220. I know they announced at the
I thought
beginning
they
of
did
camp
too.
that Nimrod was 220,
Yeah.
but
You
it's
know,
showing
I
202.
I saw him this past week. I saw him on Thursday. I mean, he definitely looked bigger, but he didn't look 220 to me.
Yeah, it says 202. So that kind of makes me wonder, did they get a 2 in the wrong place?
Probably.
Possibly, since it's saying 202. Cuz I mean, he was if that was accurate, he would have put on like 30 to 40 pounds in off
Yeah.
season. That really doesn't seem right to me. Of course, you got, and then I don't think there's a surprise here, Dante Thornton or Chris Brazel. I think both those guys are poised
Yeah. That'll
for a
be a
big
great
year.
battle.
Nico, of course, Nico. All right, this thing.
Can you say his last name
Nico
yet?
is not in an or. Nico's got it locked down. Looks like it is straight Nico, Gaston Moore 2, Jake Merklinger 3. And that's I don't think that's a real surprise. What do you think the reason for this, all the oars on running back is? I have a theory on it, but what do you think?
I'm not sure. I know you saw it last year. They rotate three guys into that. Maybe it could be a underlying feeling or moment or whatever the word is that you saw last year with Dylan Sampson, where he didn't really get to play that much. There was games where he should have been in there and he wasn't. Is that something coming into the factor again this year of maybe there's a problem behind the scenes? That's what I meant to say earlier. I just brain fart. Uh, that may be the reason why you see all the oars there. I don't. Maybe Dylan Sampson's possibly in a spot where he loses a lot of reps if he's not careful.
I think it's more of he is. I think he's easily RB1, and the rest of them are. This is just my opinion on it. I think Sampson is easily RB1. I think the other guys are far behind him, and I think the hope is they won't play him a lot in this game. I think the hope
Hopefully,
is they take care of business and can get a lot of guys a lot of carries. Uh, I mean, that's just kind of my theory on it because Cam Seldon, I think you want to get him some action in on it, get him some live action, get hit. Bishop seems to me has earned some carries. Peyton Lewis, they've spoke highly of him after the second scrimmage. And then, did they factor in Khalifa Keith as well? My hope is that they'll put in a package with, I mean, a guy 6'1", 239. They did it with Princeton Fant a couple years ago. I'm just a fan of having that short yardage situation and how many times they've gotten stopped going out of the shotgun. A 6'1", 239 guy going with a full head of steam, it's hard to stop if he can hold on to the ball. But that's kind of my theory on it, is that hopefully they won't have to play Sampson a whole lot and they can take care of business on that. So I guess other than that, is there really anything that surprises you on here?
not on the offensive side, no.
No, I think the only one was some of the oars, but I mean the Brew or Webb, and I think that's going to be more of like you talked about. I think the plan is, based on what I've read, is they want to play 6 guys, and they're probably going to rotate
Yeah.
them pretty frequently.
And you also got to realize they're not gonna kill Brew just based off the fact that he's still coming off an injury. I don't care if he's 100%. You're still not giving him as many reps as you know he wants.
No, I don't think so either. And I mean, I'm thinking he scrimmaged a little bit,
Yeah.
but I mean, they're being careful with him. They've been careful with Sampson. Um, so we'll see kind of where it's at here. We hit a couple of these comments here. Devin Arnold said he was surprised to see the oars at the wide receiver position. Yeah, I mean, with Brew, it definitely surprised me. I still think Squirrel White, when it comes down to it, I mean, you said it last week, when you need that catch. I mean, obviously Brew, Alabama game 2 years ago. I think you still go Brew. Squirrel White in there, though. I mean, that's I still think when it comes down to it, you're gonna be hard pressed to go against him. Douglas Graham's leaning 9-2. I mean, 9-3, 10-2. That seems to be consensus. I guess me and you are the homers, and we've gone both 11-1. Devin Arnold said, I don't see Sampson getting more than maybe 15 carries. That's the hope. I mean, that is, I think, definitely the hope, is that they can get those guys out pretty quick. Now the defense. This one, good Lord. I remember every position is an or. Literally every position is an or. Pierce or Josephs or Herring or Ross. So that's some talent right there. That is some flat out talent at that
Is
Leo
that saying
position.
is that saying a little bit more than we want to put notice to about Jordan Ross?
That's a good question. I noticed that too, and not really heard a whole lot about him. But is it a case they'll try to get him some playing time? They're hoping to get him playing time this weekend. Is this case he's further ahead than we think? Because they can play 4 games and redshirt. So
Yeah. I don't even think you
all
have to
that
redshirt
talent.
him, really.
What's that now? I'm sorry.
I don't even think that you really have to redshirt him, considering all the talent you have at the edge position on the roster now and coming in. You don't really have to redshirt guys at that position. Just play them.
Yeah. I mean, look at Pierce. He didn't redshirt, and look at year 2.
Yeah.
What he did. I mean, if everything goes according to plan, Pierce lives up to his billing. I mean, he's going top 10 of the draft, after this season. And that's where you got your Josephs, your Herrings, and Ross can step up. Like I said, man, if they're rotating like they will, play them. Why not? I mean, really, to me, in the grand scheme of things, unless there's an injury, I think the preference is you get 4 years out of a guy, 3 or 4 years, and they're gone. Not that you don't want good players around, but if a guy, to me, you need 3-year guys that are going to get in, get it done, live up to their billing, and be a high draft pick. That's ultimately what's going to build your program over anything else, is that you're developing guys and getting them NFL ready. Ultimately, players want to get NFL still. I know NIL's changed the game, but players, a big NFL contract is going to be much, much bigger than any NIL they can make. That's just the bottom line. But I think that's interesting on Ross, that he's a part of it. I'll be interested to see him. Omari Thomas, Elijah Simmons, or Jackson Moy. And, a lot of this, we'll talk about in a minute. Bryson Eason, Omar Norman Lott, Devin Hobbs, Dominic Bailey, Tyree West, Jason Jenkins, Tyree Weathersby. That is just insane amount of talent that they've got on that line right now. I mean, you counted here, there is 14 dudes, literally 14 guys on here of quality depth. You've got Pierce, who is elite, and you've got a lot of good, solid, you got veteran players, you got young guys with talent, but the amount of talent they have just come up with on that, man, that just tells you what Rodney Garner, what Coach Chop, Banks, and these guys, they're recruiting their hind ends off right now. They are recruiting well. Anything stands out to you on that line? Anybody else besides Ross being mentioned?
Not really. Uh, I kind of thought Jackson Moy weighed a little bit more than 307. That's about the only thing that stands out. I think this was kind of expected. You're going to see so many guys in rotation there because they're all just dogs. It's you're not gonna bench anybody in the defensive line. So that didn't all the oars there didn't really come as a surprise to me.
No, I don't think so either. I think it's interesting because used to, maybe I'm wrong on this. You notice how, like with the Leo position, all those guys are in that give or take 245 range, 243 to 249 range. But then you switch over to the defensive end spot on the other side, and they're ranging from 272 to 292. So really, that's meant to be, based on, I know used to either side, you could have guys that can get to the quarterback quick. That's kind of showing me their philosophy is we got three guys to stuff the run right here.
Yeah.
So I mean that's a lot of talent there. That's a lot. Ultimately, I think when it's all said and done, to me, well, you know what? We've got another segment we're going to do. Guys, we're excited about. We'll just save that for that segment because there's some dudes on that I'm pretty fired up about. I mean, obviously everybody's excited for Pierce. But what guys
Oh
will
yeah.
we find not named James Pierce that we're excited about? So, linebacker Arian Carter or Caleb Perry, Keenan Pili or T Lander. Any surprise on that?
No, I think that's kind of what you heard the pecking order as going into preseason and currently.
I kind of thought Pili might be without the or, but I don't think it'll matter. I think ultimately
Yeah.
it'll be him and Carter playing. But again, you're hoping this game. I mean, Tennessee's a 38 and a half point favorite. Hopefully, they're up in that range where they can play a bunch of guys. Jalen Smith listed third as this thing keeps freaking refreshing. Get it back here. Jalen Smith third. Edwin Spillman in there as well. I think I'm Edwin Spillman at some point this year is going to knock the crap out of somebody and cause a fumble. It's going to happen at some
It's going to
point.
happen.
Let's see. I don't know I don't know, man. I'm kind of Ricky Gibson or Jalen McMurray, Caleb Beasley, third string, Jermon McCoy, Jordan Matthews, and William Wright at corner. And then I don't think this one surprises Christian Harrison or Boo, Will Brooks or Christian Charles, and then Farouk. And then you got Andre Turntine or Jacoby Thomas, John Slaughter. I've got a couple surprises on that one. What about you?
I'm honestly extremely shocked that McCoy and Jordan Matthews are sharing the oar. Consider McCoy's kind of your guy. He's your star corner. He's who you're going to put out with the best wide receiver on the opposing team. So that's quite a shock to see him with the oar join with Matthews.
I thought McCoy was, and I thought Turntine was as well. I thought those were two big surprises.
That's surprising.
Yeah, Matthews, I mean, that says one of two things. Either, I don't know, it's all for shown or go try to play a lot of guys, or maybe Matthews I know they've spoke highly of Matthews and the progress he's made. So, I'm hoping that means he's made that progress and ready to play.
Yeah, that's good to see.
Yeah, I wanted to look at corner because we
I'll go
listed.
ahead and hit on that. I think that now seeing on the depth chart that Jordan Matthews has kind of stepped up. You had to have one guy step up considering you lost Jordan Thomas to a season-ending injury. Somebody had to step up. Somebody had to fill in an extra role, and it's nice to see that Jordan Matthews has kind of stepped into that role.
Yeah, we definitely needed some of these younger guys to step into it, and where he redshirted last year. He played in the bowl game, did he not?
Yeah, he played a good amount.
That's what I was thinking. Because I mean, obviously if they were on their gas, same with Nico. Nico was able to play in the bowl game, and they were still able to preserve that red shirt because it was only his fourth game. I think the interesting one is Christian Charles still in here. I think the biggest thing we hear with him is just staying healthy.
Mm-hmm.
I've still got. I know people mention Will Brooks and stuff. I know we've questioned the secondary at times. I'm going to go benefit of the doubt until proven otherwise with it. That hopefully this is just one of those guys flew under the radar. He's developed and he's ready. I hope it's not a case of, we're just putting a guy on the field because he's been here for a while. That's I hope. Like I said, I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt on it and just say, hey, this is what they're seeing. They're there every day. Let's look here. So now let's get to special teams. Max Gilbert or Josh Turbeville. It's pretty interesting.
Hopefully Turbeville.
Your boy Gilbert there. That's your boy there, isn't it?
So, no, it's got to be Turbeville.
I mean, with Turbeville's leg, Jackson Ross and Turbeville kickoff. They do not have the or on there. Long snapper, you got two of them.
That's a shock to me personally. That's probably one of the biggest shocks to me, seeing the or next to Matthew Solansky and Bennett Brady.
Yeah, I think so too. Holder, I was trying to think what age. Jackson Ross is the holder. Kick returner, Cam Seldon or Deshaun Bishop. So we had, who did I have? I had Squirrel or Boo or Seldon or Peyton Lewis. I had three ors on that one. So
I had Boo and Seldon.
Yeah, so Seldon or Bishop. And I think most of the time the plan is that's fair catch it anyway. It's pretty odd that they even return one. Punt returner, Squirrel, Jamad McCoy, or Boo Carter. Pretty interesting there. I wonder if they'll kind of I don't know that I would want to see McCoy out there just with him being like you said, your top corner. I mean, we'll kind of see on that.
Butch Jones did it with Cam Sutton, though, so you never know.
Yeah, Butch Jones did some pretty interesting things for sure out there. But, yeah, I don't think we got the luxury of like the D. Williams, a guy who's excellent returner, but further down. I mean, unless you did it with like a Peyton Lewis or somebody like that. But, I mean, as far as your other depth, I probably, if it were me on it, to be honest, I probably would not risk a starter in the secondary because I just don't think you can afford to lose them. I would definitely probably go more Squirrel, or I mean, if Cam Seldon's ready. I mean, the main thing, you just need somebody to catch the ball on kickoff, but punt. I mean, Tennessee has had some punt returners. I mean, look at what D. Williams done. That defense of D. Williams won them that Texas A&M game.
He did
last year. Let's see, it's hit we're getting up close to 50 now. We're slowly, gradually. Last week, I guess that's what we kind of said. We were hitting a high spot about this time. So that was 51 in here. It's a good little crowd going on this Monday night. Of course, be live every Monday in the season. Mr. Williams has always got the invite, unless he's tied up with schoolwork or something. Or
no.
Unless his girlfriend makes him skip one or something. But we'll, especially moving forward, we'll be able to discuss the game from the weekend, any news that come out of the game, anything in preparing for the next week. It'd be a pretty good night to talk about. Still kind of fresh in the minds at that point. But hit a few comments here. Let's see. Devin Arnold says, I'm more excited to see the D play than the O. I kind of am too. And we're going to talk about that in a minute too, in previewing Chattanooga. Maybe it's the new faces on the back end. So I'll kind of segue into that. Now, we looked at Chattanooga. You and I we was talking about looking at them. That looks to be a strength of Chattanooga coming in. One of the articles I was reading has them rated as a possible FCS national title contender.
Mm-hmm.
And their strength, it says, is, I don't know if the article I was reading was referring to FCS or over. I would imagine they're talking FCS, said that they should have the deepest receiving unit in the country. I can't imagine that's including FBS as well.
No.
But their quarterback came from UCLA a couple years ago. He returns this year. Based on what you've seen so far and looked at, what stands out to you? What's some areas you think Tennessee could have trouble? What's some areas you think they could get tested? What's some areas you think they can take advantage of?
I think the first observation I made was how well is the secondary going to match up with their wide receivers? They got two guys. They got Javen, I think that's how you pronounce his first name, Javen Waitley, Sam Phillips, and they also have a transfer from some smaller school named Chris Domercant. Very interesting name. They're all three studs, actually. They kind of popped off the charts last year. It'll be interesting to see how our secondary does, how they perform. It's, of course, you're going to have the defensive line getting to the quarterback fast, but the secondary will still get tested in some way. You'll have substitutions, so you'll have new guys in there. To me, that's the biggest thing to watch. Uh, they got a quarterback that can get the ball anywhere onto the field. Hopefully, the secondary isn't snoozing too much, like they probably will be come this Saturday around noon. And hopefully, we don't kind of have an Austin P game last year.
Yeah.
Uh, if that happens again, I'm going to be extremely disappointed. Defensive side of things, their defense is actually, like you said, they're top notch. They got the SoCon Defensive Player of the Year preseason in Marlon Taylor, defensive tackle. Their linebackers, each of their linebackers had, well, the one guy had 78 tackles last year and 59 tackles. Their secondary, they got two great safeties, and they got a guy that got like one good corner. And they brought in 16 transfers. So
yeah,
overall, the whole team's stacked.
Yeah, I thought it stood out too. It said, is it Artopius? Chase Artopius? I'm not sure the exact pronunciation on that. They don't have it on here. They have just UT pronunciations. But it says last year he threw for 2,672 yards, 20 touchdowns. Then Watley was at 977, and he had the most in the conference. Yeah. So, I mean, they're rated one of the top teams, a real contender to win the Southern Conference. You know what? So I mean, this is not one of those you can just come in and sleep. Yeah, I mean, if you think you're going to come in and sleepwalk and get through them, because this is going to be like, you know, Chattanooga, you getting a chance to play Tennessee, you're going to come in fired up. You know how it is. Probably a lot of those guys, there's a portion of them were probably Tennessee fans and are upset they never got a Tennessee offer. So they want to come in and prove them wrong. It's just natural. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. But, you know, I saw Josh Heupel said today one of his challenges was in each of his position rooms challenging the veterans to come in ready. Because I think your good teams, they're going to come ready no matter who they play. And, yeah, I'm like you. If this is an Austin P repeat, not receipt. If this is an Austin P repeat, we may need to temper our expectations.
Yeah, bring them down big time.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, they're veterans. They returned 14 guys on each side of the ball, or I'm not.
7 on each side.
Yeah, 7 on each side of the ball, 14 overall. So I mean, I think it's one of those. It's probably one of your better FCS teams they played in a bit. But if Tennessee's what we think they are, and they come out and they take care of business, I think they roll in this one.
Yeah.
Based on the game, what are you looking for on Saturday? What do you specific? Is there? Well, let's do this first, and then we'll get into that question. So you mentioned it, brought it up, and this will kind of segue into as well. So, and we'll talk more Chattanooga here in a minute, but we talked about guys we're excited to see this year. I'm going to say, I don't know, take who you want. I was going to throw a couple of them out of it, but who are some guys that you are excited to see this year? And we'll start on offense.
I would say I'll just kind of go by position. First guy, me personally, I've been big on Deshaun Bishop. It'd be nice to see him play. I know you're a big Cam Seldon fan, so I won't steal that one from you. Wide receiver wise, I want to see what Nimrod could do. He supposedly took this huge step, so it's awesome. It'll be awesome to watch a new playmaker for him. Outside of that, it'll be really interesting to watch the position battle of Dante Thornton Jr. and Chris Brazil. Brazel. That's what it says on the depth chart, actually. How to pronounce his name is Brazel. I think that'll be a great battle. Thornton's a guy, he could be a starter. He could be the main guy, but there's some issues there that I've kind of seen. So I think Brazel kind of takes that spot from him. But I'm excited to see both those guys play. And then the tight end room, I'm excited to see each of the tight ends play. The depth in that room is crazy right now. Coach Ablin, is that how you pronounce his name?
Ablin, I think it is.
Ablin, he has done a great job getting that room up to par. And then the offensive line, it'd be really interesting to see Sham play, the Larry Johnson, just the overall rotation at the left guard spot. And personally, I love Dane Davis. I know you aren't the biggest fan of him, so I always love when Dane Davis gets some playing time.
Well, I mean, I don't dislike Dane Davis. It's just
Well, you wish he wasn't in. You wish we were healthy, and he didn't really have to see the field that much.
I like him on the inside. I think the tackle, especially when you go against the big teams, I just think he's at a mismatch on it. I do like him on the inside if he has to play guard or center. I think he's a pretty solid. I think he's more of a solid guy. I just don't think he has the quickness for tackle. But I would happily let him prove me wrong too on that. Selden. I mean, I think we're probably. I'm going to be obvious on this one. If Dylan Sampson gets the carries that he should this year, I'm really interested to see what kind of numbers he's going to put up, because I really think when it's said and done, he's going to be head and shoulders above the rest. But I'm high on Cam Selden. I like his size. I like his speed. Is he going to be slowed out of the gate? Bishop's pretty interesting, man. They've talked high on him all off season. And I don't know much about Khalifa Keith. I know they've said they've been happy with him. Peyton Lewis is one I'll be kind of interested to see with his speed.
Yeah.
He talked about his speed. So I think they've got some burners at that running back spot. Of course, we're all going to be excited to see Nico play. I think that's an obvious one to see what he does. Wide receiver, yeah, I'm kind of with you. I'm curious to see Brazel. And I'm curious to see if Dante Thornton has taken that step as well. He started to take it prior to that injury that put him out for the year. So does he pick up where he left off last season? Both of those guys, I mean, especially if their size and their speed, if you could find a way, if they're both producing, they're both performing, if you get them both on the field at the same time, it could be a nightmare for some
Very
teams.
nice.
Ethan Davis, I'm excited to see him, to see if all this that they've talked about with him comes along. And I think the other two tight ends, Kitzelman's the one, the way you've talked about him has really surprised me, because I think he'll be more of a blocking tight end, but they also say that he can go across the middle. He's not afraid to go across the middle with it. Holden stays. I mean, I feel like we've heard less about him than we have the other two, but a part of me wonders if that's also not a good thing in the case that he's just doing his job, and he's solid with it. They're all listed as or, so I think they're all going to play a lot. I'm curious to see Lance Hurd. I mean, we know kind of what we've got with the rest of the guys. That left guard spot will be a little bit interesting. Hurd is the one I'm going to have my eyes on. He is the one. He comes in with a lot of height. He comes in as a former 5-star, depending on the publication. I can't remember if he was consensus, but he was definitely 5-star on something. How does he play if that 340 is accurate? How does he play at that tackle spot? To me, he's going to be the key. He's the one that's going to be protecting Nico's blind side. That's why John Campbell Jr. has moved to right tackle, was to make place for Hurd to come in. Because I can tell you this now, if Hurd does not get the job done this year, there's a guy coming in next year that may step right into that left tackle spot, because people are assuming he may go right tackle. If Hurd's not getting it done, there's a guy who'll step in from day one and take that left tackle spot. But that's kind of where I'm at with it. That's a few guys. I mean, we've got our knowns, we've got our provens. Those are guys I want to see, because we've got to have some running back depth Because if something were to happen to Sampson, heaven forbid it doesn't, we've got to have some depth. I think there's talent, but it's got to play out. Same with wide receiver. The wide receiver play, I thought last year, I thought it let us down some, but I also think quarterback was part of the issue as well. I think it's going to be a different ball game this year. But shifting to defense, who's some guys you're excited to see?
I'm excited to watch Elijah Simmons play. It was kind of a disappointing year last year for him. Saw him walking around with a boot before the season started, and I was like, no good. And then they kind of came out. He's got an injury. He's not playing. He's not playing. He's not playing. And he was a guy that I kind of expected to take a huge step last year. So hopefully, if he's healthy, he can take a next step, get a lot more playing time. I mean, he could be a difference maker just with his size. I think that's a guy that if he does come along, that's a huge help. It can help you win ball games, but you're not gonna die if he doesn't live up to the hype. Linebackers, I'm actually excited just to watch Pilly play. You got to see him for one game last year, and now that's all you got. So he's a guy that you think has to lead the linebacker room. Well, he doesn't necessarily have to, but it'd be nice to see him lead it. Don't put all that pressure on Arian Carter because you don't really want to put that on a sophomore. And then secondary, I think every single guy across the board. But if I had to single anybody out, it'd be Jalen McMurray, Jordan Matthews, and also Will Brooks. It's going to be really weird sitting in Neyland Stadium on Saturday and seeing number 35 Will Brooks starting at safety for the Vols. That's going to be a total shock to me.
Oh, let me hit. I'm a little bit behind on. I'm 10 minutes behind on comments. Joe, we are live. I'm sorry, I've got behind on the comments just because we've been talking on here. So we are definitely live. I do remember this one. I wanted to hit old Morvin Joseph coming in. Was highly recruited and he come in. Then he did not pan out. We are definitely live right now. Let me get the comments caught up here. Let's see. This is to me one starts on the offensive defensive line. They were talking about, that's what surprised me with the game day picks. Not that I really care, but they were talking about with Ole Miss. They were saying that, the difference this year is both lines of scrimmage. Who has a deeper line on defense in Tennessee?
Nobody.
No one. If Tennessee's offensive line stays healthy, this should be a good offensive line. It should be, I think top 5 in the conference, at least, based on the veterans, guys who played a lot of football. I mean, that left side is going to be the one that is going to be key. I mean, I fully trust Cooper Mays and Spraggins to do their job. Campbell, I think we'll see with him. And then, because I question injuries with him, can he stay healthy? Hurd, I mean, there's going to be, can he do it? I mean, he comes in with the height. And then that left guard spot. I mean, Jackson Lampley, he was one of the highest graded out guys in the bowl game. So there is that confidence on him. This is the biggest thing. I know Banks is going to know what he has on that line. Will that allow them to play more aggressive? I mean, I think there's times where they've not been able to play aggressive just because they can't do it. This is going to be a big one. Don't get beat over the top. So that's where Will Brooks and Turrentine are going to have to come in. Don't get beat over the top. Let me get these called up. Let's see first. Whoa, how to do to unsub? Oh, okay. Sorry, man. That's okay.
Joe Bird, if you hear us, it's okay.
Let's see. All right. Sorry, Joe. We're just behind on the comments, man. I didn't mean to ignore you by any means on that. Darren Weaver says, I think Sampson could have a really great year. He won't tap himself out as much as Wright. So, yeah, Wright did tap out. I mean, Sampson carried the load in that bowl game, and he looked pretty good. BS, this first time in a while, I felt really confident in how talented our football team started the season. Yeah, me too. I mean, 2022, let's face it, I didn't see that coming. I thought they had potential to have a good year, but, there was definitely I definitely didn't see it coming. Special teams defense making plays on third. That's going to be the big one. Getting off the field on third down. I feel like that's been the case even going back to John Chavis. Defenses being able to get off the field on third down. That's going to be the big one on here. What's up, Backwoods, Tennessee? Good to see you in here, man. Hope you're able to stay cool with that weather coming back in again this week. So, all right, we're all caught up now. Sorry, guys, got a little bit behind because we were in the midst of talking and just didn't get caught up on that. So, for defense, for me, I mean, there's a lot of guys on the defensive line I'm excited about. I mean, obviously Pierce, I think that's an easy one, but is Joshua Joseph's, all the hype about him going to be true? All right, he's going to be able to prove it. They spoke highly of him. Caleb Herring's put on such good weight. Where does he play into that as well? I'm interested to see a guy like Tyree West, a guy like Davin Hobbs. Both guys come in highly touted, highly recruited. What are they going to look like this year as well? My question is, out of all these 14 guys who are listed on this depth chart on the defensive line, is it going to be a different guy every week who comes through on it? Is it kind of going to be your same dudes? Any of that stuff as well. Let's see here. I'll tell you what, Backwoods, I need to get in touch with you. Maybe we can get you on here one night on a Monday coming up. My email is the orangeswarm10@gmail.com. Shoot me an email on there, and maybe we can hook up. Maybe we can get something going next week or the week after in the next couple of weeks. There's Papa J in the house. Papa J is a member of the channel. Says, let's go Big Orange. Good to see you in here, Papa J. Done with this softball season, so he's resting up. Maybe he's hitting a few rounds here and there to stay ready. But, yeah, definitely let's go Big Orange. Good to see you in here, Papa J. Backwoods, we'll definitely get something set up for sure on that. Linebackers, I want to see Carter. Carter's the guy I'm wanting to see. We've heard all the talk, how good he's looked, how he's a leader. We've seen some of the videos of him getting fired up as well. I might be overestimating how much Spillman's going to play. I think he's probably predominantly going to be special teams, but I'm still saying that somebody is going to get their clock cleaned by Edwin Spillman this year and fumble. It's going to happen at some point. Will it be on special teams? Will it be maybe later in a game? But you look at the linebacker coming up in the years to come. Of course, Peely is the only guy they're going to leave, barring a transfer. Hopefully we don't get any transfers. But you're going to have a guy like Edwin Spillman who will knock the crap out of you. Jaden Harmon coming in next year is fast and will knock the crap out of you. And then I did a video yesterday morning about Cooper Witten, Jason Witten's boy, who's listed as the number one linebacker for 2027 right now. And you got to think Tennessee's going to have a good shot. The family's big Vol fans. They talked about it in the interview on VolQuest.com. That linebacker talent, this linebacker room, they are starting to add some studs. And you think back to when Brian Jean-Marie took over that position back when Josh Heupel first come in, and they had Jeremy Banks, Aaron Beasley, two converted running backs. You had Solon Page, and I'm trying to think. I need to go back and pull that when I go to look at it and where that talent. Yeah, I didn't even mention Christian Gass here. Of course, T-Landers, they're talking good about him, and then Christian Gass. The talent that they're adding in that room is just, man, it is stout. And Arian Carter, I mean, you beat Alabama for him. And I think I'm like you, pretty much the whole secondary. I'm going with the obvious one here on who I want to see. I want to see Boo. Yeah. I want to see Boo. I want to see what he's got. But I also want to see Christian Harrison. If he has beat Boo out, if he's legitimately beat Boo out and they're not just playing the veteran, how good has he gotten on here? I'm like you. I got to keep my eye on Will Brooks. Got to keep my eye on Will Brooks because he He's the one everybody's got circled. Can he get it done back there? And I think you just got to be solid. You just got to be solid. I mean, he doesn't have to be the next Ronnie Lott or anything like that. He just needs to be solid. And I think there's times. My biggest thing with him: make the tackle, make the open field tackle. We've had guys that couldn't do that, and that's where we get in trouble. That's my thing. The linebackers make the tackle in space. How many times these guys get juked out and can't do their thing?
Elijah
So let me
Herring.
hit. See, Backwoods, Ellipse. Okay, yeah, we'll definitely get together on that. That'll be fun. Jordan Whitfield, which Tennessee team at any sport was your favorite, and why? I mean, gosh, I don't know. I don't know if I could even pick one. Really, I mean, the national champs they're up there pretty high on your current national champs. As far as football, man, I mean, that 2022, I think just because it'd been down for so long, I think that was a fun one for football. Some of those 90s teams were fun, obviously. Some of the the 20 teens teams were, jeez. I mean, and I think there was talent. They were just poorly coached. I mean, the Dalton Connect team this past year was really fun. I mean, I don't know. I really liked the team back, 2019? Grant Williams, Schofield, and those guys that got screwed in the Sweet 16. I did like that team pretty well. Good Lord, imagine Arian Carter and Boo Carter nailing somebody at the same time. Maybe Edwin Spillman will be in there too. I'll tell you what, if somebody could take a hit from Arian Carter, Boo Carter, and Edwin Spillman at the same time, they're an absolute man. Maybe that. Maybe we can get Jackson. I think I saw. What did I see about him? That maybe that one. I don't know how serious that one is. The more I've seen on that would be big. And I don't think you can have enough linebacker depth, but it seems like they're building some pretty good depth here. Oh, this is an interesting. What do you think about this? I like this one here, actually. I got a hot take. I think T. Lander, when it's said and done, has a bigger impact than Carter this season. We all hope they do well. What do you think about that one?
I mean, I'm not gonna like fully agree, but I'd say I'll 75% agree. T. Lander,
He could.
I love T. Lander, so
yeah,
I think he's got the potential. If something happened against the Peely, T. Lander.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't think that's that outlandish of a statement. It could. I think he's going to have some impact this year for sure. I want to see Cameron. Yeah, I want to see Cameron too. I'm excited about that one. Wes McLaughlin says 98. The Chuck Webb days. Yeah, the old Cobweb. The old Cobweb was fun to watch. And then, of course, Cobb got kicked off. Webb had the injury, and we really pretty much got a year out of him, I think it was. So we really got shorted on that. Jacob Warren was Jacob Warren was a pretty good tight end for sure. Reggie White days. So Reggie White days, yeah, that's going back a little bit. That was kind of the Reggie White days was probably, I remember him more from the NFL than I do college. I was pretty young at that time. Ty Jackson visit for Alabama. That'd be big. I think you take I think Tennessee's picky. They can be picky and selective right now. To me, the one, we'll talk a little bit of recruiting. We'll try to get out here in a few minutes. So, God forbid anything happens to Nico, how confident Gadsden Morris. We talked a little bit about this last week. I think there's obviously going to be a drop-off, but I would feel confident in him to come in and run the offense. What do you think?
I would be fully confident. If we didn't have Nico on this team, I still think that Gaston Moore could fully run this team. He's not going to put you in a position to win 10 games probably, but you're probably going to get 8-4, 9-3 out of him because he's been a part of Josh Heupel's offense for so long. He transferred in from UCF, so I could see him doing pretty well in this offense.
Yeah, that's right, and that's what Backwoods has been with Hype since UCF. So he knows this offense inside out. I'll be confident with him. I mean, I don't like I said, God forbid anything happens to Nico. Hopefully it doesn't, but I don't think that's that bad of a situation to have. And really, I think that I'm still shocked that they've got 4 quarterbacks right now in the fold. When you factor in Nico, Merklinger, who I think is being undersold, George McIntyre, who it seems like is looking pretty good right now, and Faison Brandon. That to me is amazing in this day and age that you've got all those guys in the fold. Now you got to hold on to them, obviously, but I think a guy like Moore, he's been in that offense. That's his role. That's a guy like him. He knows offense. I think he can come in and get the job done, and I think he can operate that offense at a fast pace too. Seems like he's a smart guy, good head on his shoulders. You know, what little we've seen him play, he seems to have pretty good decision-making skills as well. So T. Lander reminds me of Bill Romanowski. Man, if he had that mean streak, and you remember Romanowski playing?
No,
You don't remember? That dude was crazy. He was crazy. He was a wild man. Mean streak. I mean, some of them linebackers used to were some mean dudes. I think. I mean, you got to hide. Unfortunately, you've got to be. I mean, they had the situation scrimmage too, where Nico woke up sick and couldn't play. So I mean, you got to prepare for it for sure. I think Tennessee's down some scholarships still, are they not, from Pruitt?
Still probably around 5, I think.
Around 5. So I know they asked Heupel today. Somebody asked him if it feels good to have a full roster. He said, well, we're still not. Said this is the most depth we've had, but we're still not there. But yes, Osborne, I remember the teams from 72 and going forward. Condridge Holloway, so running out in the second half in 74. I'll tell you this one off air. I'm not. There was a guy one time I knew was on one and said, "Yeah, I remember watching Condridge Holloway was my favorite growing up," and I'm like, "Dude, you're younger than me. You didn't see him play any." Yeah, they're still short on scholarships for I can't remember how many years it is right now. Now, obviously, that'll kind of negate, I believe, when they go to that 105. But Merklinger would be the one I'd be interested to see if you had to go to him, how he would look on it. I think he's got the talent. But we'll see. Gaston's been ready for sure. Interesting. They're talking about Nico. When they start, a lot of people, it seems, when they start talking about Nico, it's like, did you hear Fulmer's comments when he was on Jason Swain recently?
He loves them.
Yeah, he said of course, I mean, he's not lying. He's had some pretty good quarterbacks. Romanowski broke a dude's jaw in practice. I'm not surprised on that. Let's see. All the hype Joe got. I honestly, I think that's a good comparison. I think Nico's. What do you think on that? So Joe Milton transferred in 2021, or before the 2021 season, and he had the hype. How do you think the Nico hype compares to the Joe Milton hype?
I think it's probably tripled, just simply because you knew Joe Milton's track record at that point, and you also knew that you had Hendon Hooker as a backup. So I would say, I mean, there was, of course, a lot of hype going into the Joe Milton era, but you still knew that you saw what he did at Michigan. It wasn't the greatest. You knew you had Hendon Hooker on the roster. So now it's just Nico. Nico's running this show through thick and thin, and you don't really have a replacement. You could throw in Gaston Moore if you had to, but he's not even semi-close to being a replacement for Nico. So the amount of pressure on Nico this season compared to 2021, it's not even close, like, at all, in my opinion.
I don't think so either. I mean, I think it was at that point. I think with Milton, it was more he's coming in, he has all these tools, but I mean, people were picking that team to do basically nothing that year. And I mean, they would have had, I think they would have had at least one more win had Hendon Hooker been the quarterback from the get go. I think they won that pick or would have won that pick game with it because if you remember, Milton missed how many wide open touchdowns in like the first quarter.
Yeah,
It was
it
insane.
was pretty ridiculous.
Do you think, because Hendon Hooker committed to Jeremy Pruitt and Jim Chaney, do you think Heupel would have went after Hendon Hooker? Because I mean, he was hand delivered to. He was on campus for him when he got there, and Hooker stayed. Would Heupel have actually went after Hendon Hooker had he not already been on campus?
I'm gonna say no, just considering he already had Joe Milton. We already know that he fell in love with Joe Milton, just watching his tape and everything, and he was bringing in Gaston Moore. So I don't think he would have. I think he would have just let him fly under the radar and went to somewhere else. And if that was the case, Apple may not even be your coach right now, if you truly look at it.
He could have been on a hot seat.
Yeah, he would have been on the hot seat.
His seat could have been very hot right now. You're exactly right on that because I wonder because when it was obvious when they come in, they had Hendon Hooker, they had Harrison Bailey, you had Brian Maurer, who I actually saw Brian Maurer post today. He's retiring from football. Apparently, now I like Brian Maurer the year he played or the 2 years he was here. I mean, I think he made the decision he had to, but he was a guy, man. When he went out there, he left it on. He left. You knew he was out there. He was playing his butt off.
Yeah,
when he played. I like Brian Maurer. I hate to see that he's having to retire with the injuries because he said he's having another. I think getting ready to have another surgery. So, best of luck to him as he. Hey, I have nothing bad to say about the guy because he put it on the line.
he did
when he come in. But you had those dudes on campus for spring ball, and then they went out and got Joe Milton after spring ball. So they obviously were not sold on any of them. And so yeah, man, that's a what if. What if Hendon Hooker would not have come here? What would it have looked like? Would Heupel have? Would he made the mistake that Jeremy Pruitt made and rode with when Jeremy Pruitt rode with Garantano for all that time? You had what was the guy coming from Stanford? Pruitt's first year.
Killer Christ.
Yeah. He was much better than Garantano. I never understood that one. And then they didn't go out and get a guy 2 years in a row. Because I'll tell you this right now. If Jeremy Pruitt had not been 3-7, do you really think they would have been digging up dirt on him? If he would have been 7-3, 8-2, 9-1,
no,
they wouldn't have been digging up dirt on him. You can't sit here and tell me that made it easy to fire him.
That hurts.
That made it. Yeah, it made it easy to do because a lot of that would have probably been swept under the rug at some point based on. Maybe not. Maybe it was a lot worse than I think, but some of these other teams not getting in trouble either. Yeah, man, that Heupel, if not for Hendon Hooker, what would Heupel's job? That's a pretty dang good point right there for sure. Yeah, once Hooker coming against Pitt, that was it. That was it. He rolled. Let's see. We got BS will be 58. McLaughlin 50. You guys got 10 on me. So Tony Robinson. Old Tony Robinson was a good one. Bender Strings 17th overall in team talent, 8th in the SEC. I thought they were ranked higher than that. Maybe that's one of the recruiting things. Harrison Bailey, the last I heard, he had walked on somewhere at Louisville. The last I heard.
Yeah, he was. I don't know how in the world he didn't play last year in the ACC championship game for Louisville, considering they brought in a guy that was he wasn't even high school starting quarterback worthy, in my opinion. So I don't know how his career just such a train wreck.
You talk about a guy who was overhyped, apparently. And And I know the year the orange and white game when Heupel come in, I mean, Harrison Bailey looked pretty good in the orange and white
He
game
did.
because
Yeah.
people were excited about it. But I mean, I even thought when he played under Pruitt, I thought there were some signs he could be decent. I think, the big things he needed to get rid of the ball quicker. But
Yeah.
I mean, it's just I don't know where it went off the tracks on that one. Yeah, Joe missed it. It was like 3 or 4 touchdowns.
Yeah.
Because it just, you never want to see a guy get injured and come out. Part of me wonders too whether he would have gotten injured or not if Hooker wasn't coming in to get it done, because I think you had to pull him at that point. Yeah, Hooker committed to Jeremy Pruitt, actually. So and he decided to stick around. Man, people thought Harrison Bailey was the next Peyton Manning. There were legitimately people who thought Harrison Bailey was the next Peyton Manning. I mean, I was excited about him, but I was kind of wait and see at that point too. One of Joe's throws landed on the back porch. Yeah, I think one of them buzzed over I was still living in Tennessee. No, I wasn't. I was in South Carolina. I'm pretty sure one of them even flew down here to South Carolina. So I think there was a combination of Drew Gilbert's home run against Wright State was still flying over. It was still in orbit. Joe Milton, one of his overthrows at Pitt, I'm pretty sure buzzed right by my window. I thought it was a crow flying by or something. It was one of Joe's throws. This is kind of the Blake Burt bomb 2 years ago at Southern Miss, where he just destroyed it. It was the 9th inning of that game. I was laying on the bed watching the game, and all of a sudden we heard the loudest racket outside. A freaking tree outside broke, snapped, and fell on luckily it didn't fall on the roof, but it fell on our gutter and fell on our power line. And I texted a couple buddies of mine. One of them said that was Blake Burke's bomb that come up there and hit it. It was like kind of easy because it's like we had no power for over 12 hours and stuff. Wow. And that kind of eased the tension a little bit. It was pretty funny. But yeah, Joe could set, I mean, his arm wasn't the problem. That's for sure. No. Yeah, I mean, Hooker saved. We'll see. This is where Heupel's got to prove it with the talent. He's got to prove it with the talent now. I mean, they're all saying it. They're all happy with it. So that's where they got to prove it. Let's see here. Kamen Mickler says Harrison Bailey is on Louisville's roster still this year. This is what I thought I saw too, Green Wave, that our talent level, we were 9th. And I know ESPN has them 9th in the FPI. So that's what I thought it was too. Oh, there's still people out there that probably don't understand why Harrison Bailey. Even I think I saw some in 2022 when Hooker, when we went, 11-2, saying, well, what would they done if Harrison Bailey was on the roster? Oh, they probably wouldn't have been 11-2. No. Milton looking all right in the preseason. Yeah, a lot of these guys we brought up, that's before the internet for sure. No. Do you think Tennessee wins the 0-1 SEC championship? They would have beat 0-1 to Miami. Those Miami teams were loaded. I think Tennessee could have given them a better game than Nebraska, but I don't think Tennessee had the talent. Tennessee had a lot of talent. BS thinks they do. I don't think they would have. And I could be wrong on it because Miami was I'm talking a little bit ahead of your time here on probably about the time you come into the world, actually. That Ohio State team that beat Miami in, was it 2002, I believe. I didn't see that one coming. And I thought Miami would drill them and Ohio State beat them. But, I mean, they would have matched up with Miami better than Nebraska. But, man, those Miami teams early then were freaking loaded. They were absolutely loaded. Let's see where we're at here. So we'll kind of get a couple things. What do you want to see this weekend? out of Tennessee? We've talked, guys, we're excited about. We've talked depth charts. What do you want to see out of this team this weekend?
I want to see an early start. I want to see a game that's over by halftime. And I want to see guys that I've never heard their names of playing by the end of the second half.
Got a prediction? You want to predict a score, or you just want to say Tennessee wins?
Oh, let's go 63-3. 60
Ooh.
burger.
So you're expecting that high powered offense is going to get shut down?
Yeah, FCS versus FBS. We're a top 10 program. They're a top 10 program in the FCS. There's no comparison. We should completely obliterate them. Just the strength and conditioning aspect makes it a total blowout.
Where do you think Tennessee has the advantage with Tennessee's defense against Chattanooga's offense?
Of course, the defensive line. Their quarterback's gonna, if he makes it out of the first half, congratulations, kid, because you're gonna need some luck.
I think if this line is what everybody's anticipating, yeah, I think they dominate this game. Where do you think Tennessee? What do you think? I mean, I agree with you. It's top 10 FCS versus top 10 FBS. It's a night and day difference. What do you? I'll narrow it down. What do you want to see on Nico this week?
I kind of just want to see him stay in the pocket. You saw him against Iowa. He kind of got out like a chicken, ran wild. I just want to see him drop back in the pocket and let it fire. I don't care if he throws a bunch of incompletions. I want to see him get comfortable, just sitting in the pocket and just letting it rip.
How bad of a sign is that if Nico's having to scramble all day?
No, I don't think it's that bad of a sign because that's just how he naturally is. He just kind of moves around. So I don't think it would be too big of a sign considering he just kind of moves. It's kind of his instincts. So I wouldn't be too upset if he's scrambling a lot. As long as he throws the ball, doesn't take off.
Well, Joe said 42-24, and then he changed it to 42-14. So we'll see here.
If they score 24 points, I am very concerned.
I'm concerned. Yeah, I'm concerned about the defense for sure. That means that line is not what we expect.
Yeah,
that it was. I know we're kind of revisionist here. Miami had Ken Dorsey at quarterback. He was not a scrambler, so that could have played into Tennessee's hands. But Miami was they were loaded everywhere on that team. Tennessee was loaded too. I mean, make no mistake about it. 01 better than 98. I don't know about that, man. They were good.
National championship.
Yeah, I don't think they were better than. I mean, you were pretty much. I mean, like Casey Clausen, T. Martin. I mean, yeah, there were some. I mean, Martin. The biggest thing was Martin was with his legs. That was the biggest thing on it. But anyhow, if Nico's just making plays, I'm good. If he's having to scramble because they're just getting a ton of pressure, that's a concern to me. I'm going to go 52. I'll go 52-10. 52-10 is where I'm going. I'm going on them to cover. I'm like you. I'm hoping that when it hits the second half, it's guys that, that guy played at ETSU. That dude played at Wofford, because there are some guys who transferred ETSU and Wofford. I'm hoping we're seeing some of those type guys. And, biggest thing for me, get out, take care of business, get out injury free, get ready for North Carolina State the next week, because that's where it's going to start getting real. That's going to be a primetime game. That's going to be your first. To me, that's where Nico Iamaleava needs to show in primetime that he's the real deal, and he needs to have his coming out party in week number 2. I don't need him to wait till week 4 to have it. I need him to just go and do it in week number 2. That way you're showing the country, yeah, this guy is the real deal. See if we got anything else there. So you said, I'm going to write down 63-3, what you said, right?
Oh, you're writing it down. You're keeping notes. Dang it.
I always just like to see how close we get. on them. Last thing we'll talk about here. I thought it was big news over the week, end of the week. Finally here, we're going to talk a little baseball. Tony Vitello, 5-year extension, around $3 million per year. I was reading it said he is he's the highest paid college coach. He is overall the 12th highest paid coach manager in all, including the majors. Big news for Tennessee. Obviously, I probably can guess your thoughts on that one, but why did it take so long? What does this mean for Tennessee moving forward? What stood out to you in that? Because there was a lot of details that come in that. So what stood out to you in that regard?
Well, first off, I'd say that it took a little bit longer, just simply because we won a national championship. Just let the man breathe. Just wait a month or two before you get into the negotiations with him, which is what they did, and that's the best thing to see. I don't think there probably wasn't too much negotiation with the price. I don't see why there would have been. I feel like you could give Tony anything and he would be okay with that. He's not going to leave. He's just won a national championship here. He's pretty much going to turn into the baseball version of Nick Saban. So he's going to be here for a really long time. We have the money to give him. So I'd rather spend more on baseball and sacrifice other sports if we have to keep him as long as we can if it comes to it.
There was a point in time I said that they were investing all that money in football when football was not holding their end up. And I was like, at what point do we shift it to baseball or something? Because Tony was starting to build the program then. Yeah. I think, like I said, the national championship won. I think the Schlossnagle deal at Texas changed the game a little bit as well. But I think the only logical thing was to make Tony the highest paid coach in college baseball. Now, somebody will come behind him and pass it at some point. I don't think there's any doubt. But you've got him a 5-year extension. What I thought was big too, and I like how his staff is set up. So I want to. So Herb, I've done a series before. I'm not even going into detail about that. I'm just going to say I'm going to create my second one. I've already got it entitled "Rebirth of the Vols." We'll start it around 2020, but it's not just football. I want to bring in. I think that's a really big thing that people don't realize is how much Tony Vitello saved Tennessee athletics. Tony Vitello raised the bar for Tennessee athletics, and now you see where it's going. Now, I think it coincides with Danny White, Plowman, Boyd, all them coming on. You finally get admins on the same page that's competent. It changes the game because their admin was not competent for a while. But the fact that Vitello got them to Omaha, keeps building that. And then that 2022, baseball team as well. That was before the 2022 football team did their thing. I just think he raised the bar down there. You were on campus for it. What was everything like at the time on campus with those teams? And people had not experienced that in a while.
Yeah. The 2022 team, that was right before I came to campus, so I didn't get to witness that one too much. The 2023 team, it was nice. But we of course didn't fully meet expectations, but it was kind of a calmer feel around the program. And it was nice to be able to go to the games and it not be completely a slam pack to try to get in as it was the year prior. And then this past season, it was just amazing to watch the entire run. I went to games all throughout the season. I was at the first home game. I was at the last home game. So it was just awesome to see, awesome to be a part of in some fashion, be a part of a national championship run. It'll definitely be something I remember for the rest of my life.
Yeah, it's just hard to believe where it came to, what the program was. I've always followed it pretty closely, or as closely as possible. Now, ESPN Plus ought to sponsor me because I've promoted them so many times. ESPN Plus changed the game on college baseball.
They did.
Because used to, we rarely ever got Tennessee baseball games. It was very rare. And I don't know about Knoxville, if they might have gotten them locally. But as far as in the Tri-Cities area or whatever, we didn't get them. ESPN Plus come along, all of a sudden we get every game. I don't think there's any coincidence how much the game's growing now that people can actually watch it, opposed to not being able to, used to or rarely with it. But just what he did when he got them to the tournament back in 2019 against North Carolina. They had a respectable showing. North Carolina was a better team in that regional, but Tennessee, they got to that where they had to beat them twice. North Carolina, like I said, just better, but that started. I think 2020 was set up for Tennessee to make a run.
It was. That one was
they had the
unfortunate.
ace. They had
They did.
arguably the best pitcher in college baseball that year. 2021 was interesting. That's when the Omaha run started. I know I went to, because that most of that year was half capacity because it was still
Yeah.
COVID. We actually caught. We went up to Columbia. That was the first weekend back, full crowds when they played at South Carolina. Went up, saw them win both games and win the conference up there that weekend. That was pretty cool. 2022, that was a crazy year. It's still amazing to me that on paper, how far you go is what they're judged on. That 2023 made it further than 2022.
Yeah.
Still crazy to think, but my thing with 2022, they got hit in the mouth and they didn't respond.
They didn't.
They did a lot of talking that year.
They did.
And, I'm all for the fun. There were some instances I'm like, we need to reel it in a little bit.
Yeah, it was kind of over the top.
I'm not necessarily the traditionalist that says you got to respect all this stuff. I love the fire in college, or even we've seen the pros now too. But that team, when you're cussing umpires and firing birds and stuff, then it's a little over the top. But and then 2024 was fun. But what Tony's done, I think Tony's raised the bar in the whole program. And I like it too. You see Barnes and Heupel, among others, out there supporting him in Omaha. Do you notice kind of the parallels between the three programs? Do you notice any similarities between them?
Yeah,
baseball, basketball, football.
You got the three best coaches in each sport. I'd say that.
You got three of them. What is there any? There's one big one I noticed between them. See, do you notice any other similarities between those three programs?
I don't know. Refuse to lose. That's like the only thing coming into my head right now. You don't really see each program accept losses like you did in staffs from the past.
Yeah. The big thing I notice is how they all talk culture.
Yeah.
Especially with portal. They're not just bringing anybody in. They're very selective, and they're really all hitting pretty good on the portal. I feel like for the most part, Tony's getting who he wants. For the most part, Barnes is getting who he wants. And I feel like Heupel's does pretty good too, getting who he wants. Now and you got to think they don't just go after every player that's out there. Some guys are just not a fit. And it doesn't mean, Tony had the rant, in the Evansville series about, what's his name, Sear, that went to Florida, come in wanting a bag of money.
Yeah.
That was pretty obvious, who he was talking about because he had visited that weekend. But I just think their cultures, I just wonder how much they've kind of conversed, how much they've talked, just in terms of culture, because I think there's similarity. And I wonder Danny White's role in that as well, because you got guys they seem to be, no matter what they do on the field. Even that 2022 team, as whatever word you want to use, flamboyant or whatever that they were. I don't know if flamboyant's the right word. They were definitely over the top. You didn't hear of issues with them off the field, though. So you didn't. And, that's one thing you've heard. It seems like they're all very given to sign autographs, talk to fans, and it's been that way the whole time. So, just because you get a little fired up on the field, that doesn't mean they're bad people off of it. And that's one thing I've liked about the program is, yeah, maybe they push the envelope on the field, but, off of it, I don't know so much. But, that's exciting me. Tony Vitello's in the fold 5 years till at least 2029. I'm like you. I look for him to be here for a long time. And, there'll be people ask, well, what if the majors come that coaches just don't make that transition.
They don't.
From college to the majors. I cannot even think of one. And I know it's probably happened, but it's not like football or basketball where you see, a Brad Stevens go from Butler to the Celtics, or who's like Jimmy Johnson back in the day going from Miami to the Cowboys, stuff like that. I mean, obviously Saban tried it and wasn't successful. There's been others too, but we're in good hands. Tennessee's going to have a shot at another national championship this year. Do you know when fall ball starts?
I'd say in maybe very end of September, October-ish.
Because I know they've got the 2 exhibition games coming up in October. They're playing in Nashville and Jackson, I believe it was. I mean, from what I've been told, the freshman pitchers are already throwing. Yeah. So it makes me wonder if it's just freshmen or if it's others. Because, I mean, a lot of these guys played summer ball. So I wonder how quick they're rushing them back. I know they had at least an injury in summer ball that was not good, and hopefully no more than that. But good things on Rocky. I mean, we could probably talk all night, but we've got our predictions: 63-3, 52-10. We'll talk about them on Monday night. Any final thoughts as we are in game week before we move on for the night?
Saturday couldn't get here soon enough. Let's go win a ball game. Let's go win us a national championship.
Yep, let's do it. And hats off to the person that hooked you up with the ticket.
Yeah,
on that as well. That's pretty cool. That is pretty cool. People do, especially helping a fellow Vol fan out. But you guys, I hope you have a great evening. I said it earlier. I don't know. I haven't even checked the sub, but we were 4 away from 1,900 coming in. If you like the content, if you have not subbed, hit that sub button, get it to there, and then we're on that road to 2,000. Hopefully we'll be there soon. Had a big weekend for subs. But it's game week. Get fired up. Have a great rest of the week. He's Kerry. This is Frank Rock. This is the House of Orange Sports Channel. We'll see you when we see you, and have a great rest of your evening.